Welcome to another episode of the Talk Golden to Me video podcast show. Thank you for joining us. Your host, Evan Golden, Golden TV, as always, the studios from the law offices of Berman and Berman. Today we are going to be having an important conversation, a nonprofit organization that is helping people with a certain disease across the country. A huge walk is happening right in our own town, so I want to get everyone involved. I want to get people educated how they could support this cause. And this is a disease that I wasn't too aware of, and I thought that a lot of our viewers and listeners would be very open to learning more about it, and seeing how many different people it's affected really just kind of opened up my eyes and ears. And what we did was brought on Jamie Latin. She's here with us in the studio. She is with the organization, which is Huntington's Disease Society of America, and they have a big Team Hope walk coming up, which she's going to tell us all about it. And Jamie, I understand that this disease has been something that you've just dealt with through your heritage and through your family line, and now you're making it a mission to hopefully save some lives.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for your appreciation for rare diseases and specifically, events that, locally, on a local level, we can raise awareness. So, yeah, Huntington's disease is rare. There's about 30,000 people affected and about 200,000 at risk.
What exactly is Huntington's disease?
So, Huntington's disease, or HD, is a neurological degenerative disorder, and it impairs movements, cognition, and also emotion. So you can start showing symptoms anywhere from 25 to 45, and they can, manifest. Really, everyone's different.
It's similar to MS? It sounds a little bit, or no?
So HD can be described as having Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS all at once. Yeah. So once the motor symptoms kind of come into play, people aren't able to work anymore. So it really is a family disease because your family becomes your caregiver, and once one person is diagnosed in your family, everyone is at risk.
Tell me a little bit more about your personal story and how you're involved and giving back to this cause now.
Sure. My grandmother was always a party animal, and she liked her beer. And so she would kind of shake a little bit, and we thought she was just a little tipsy. And then once she stopped drinking, we realized that the tipsiness, wasn't really going away. So we thought it was something neurological, and we took her to one of Huntington Disease Society of America's Center of Excellences, where their teams are just so prepared and so knowledgeable. So they were able to clinically diagnose her. Shortly after that, my dad unfortunately started showing symptoms as well. And I took care of both of them throughout college and my adult life, and made the decision to get genetic testing myself. So I am gene positive as well, but definitely staying positive and getting involved and talking, to physicians that are unaware. Or
what does that mean that you are gene positive?
Right. So everyone has a Huntington's gene. You have one, I have one. That's a normal gene. But this is a dominant version, and that has expanded repeats. So you could have a repeat up to 35 and be normal. Anything after 35 will dictate when your symptoms start to show. But you're definitely going to get it. Ultimately, it is fatal. And right now, there's no cure.
That's devastating and not good news.
Not good news, but there's a lot of smart, talented scientists out there working. So we're really trying to raise awareness, especially the pharmaceutical companies that are partnering with us, and they're developing some great drugs to help kind of.
So there's no cure. Is there treatment? Is there relievement? Is there ways to kind of minimize some of the symptoms at least?
Yes, and there, like I said, a couple pharmaceutical companies, they have really thrown themselves into finding some therapies, and there are some clinical trials right now, stage 2 and stage 3, and that could slow the progression, kind of like gene silencing almost. So yeah, they're working really hard, and we're really hopeful.
Wow, what a touching story to lose a grandparent and your own father from the disease, and now knowing that you're walking around, with the positive, but you maintain very positive attitude, and now you're on a mission. The organization, the Huntington's Disease Society of America, primarily raising a lot of funds. Is it for research or obviously hopefully to find a cure?
Right. They want to raise awareness and definitely contribute funds as much as they can to research for finding a cure.
And the walk now, I understand that this is going to be one of your big events. Tell me about this.
Yes, well, we have walks going on all over Florida. We're doing one in Tampa, we're doing one in Cape Coral, and then the local one here in South Florida is going to be at the Spanish River Library, and that's October 5th. It's coming up. Hopefully the hurricane won't affect anything.
Certainly. It's a pretty scary disease when you're kind of describing, some of the things out, the forgetfulness and then the mood swings. And when you're saying what do you mean? Elaborate a little more when you're like, this is a family disease, because no matter what, you can't do this on your own, I'm assuming.
Sure. Well, I mean, even in my situation, I remember, my parents divorcing, and because my dad had kind of uncharacteristically behaviors, and, my mom knew something was off but couldn't put her finger on it. So that was the manifestation of the emotional, decline, and that started happening in his late 30s. So again, your family doesn't know. Oftentimes HD goes misdiagnosed, very common, because either physicians have never seen it and they don't know, or they think it's something else. They'll say anxiety, they'll say depression. But really, it takes a neurologist and certainly a center of excellence with the trained professionals to guide you and provide all the resources necessary.
Maybe people are considering, maybe don't even realize that they have the HD, then you're saying.
Definitely.
So it sounds like it's very hard to diagnose.
Absolutely. I mean, people have gotten misdiagnosed from Parkinson's disease to, like I said, depression. They think they're just going crazy, or they're losing their memory. But it's much more encompassing.
It seems that a big mission with the organization is getting the youth involved. What's kind of that play and that philosophy?
Well, it's really hard on the youth. If you have a parent that is diagnosed and you're so young, you see that, and that's going to affect you. So there's a couple organizations out there, HDYO and NYA, and they have camps, and they have support systems and mentors, and they do a really great job with the children, that have it in their family. But also the children that have what we call juvenile Huntington's, which they have an extreme number of repeats. So their symptoms are much more severe, and they happen much earlier.
I didn't even realize. So it is a pretty rare disease, but when you see how many other people it affects, it doesn't become so rare.
Right. And we've been trying to raise awareness, at our nation's capital. And there's something called the Parity Act that we're trying to get passed, which would waive the 2-year waiting period between when people with HD get Social Security and then when they're eligible for more benefits. So, we have a coalition of people. We have 47 centers of excellence in the U.S., and a lot of volunteers. We couldn't do it without all the volunteers.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. A lot of our viewers and listeners always want to, find ways that they could give back and involve, maybe just outside of a financial donation. So I'm looking here. If you go to HDSA.org, and you'll see that they have all these different chapters throughout the country and different committees. And what do? There's ways that they could kind of volunteer. And can you even work and help a family even?
Yeah, absolutely. We need volunteers on all levels. And when we do event fundraising, we try and make it, as fun and as positive as we can. So the Boca Walk's going to be great. If anyone wants to volunteer, we're still definitely accepting volunteers. And it's really not so much, of an athletic walk. If you're not athletic, that's okay. If you're not in town, you can also just donate and be a virtual walker. We'll send you a T-shirt. So there's events all over, again, HDSA.org. You can find them all over. If you have family or friends in other states, there's definitely something in their area.
What's with the match for trials? Is that something people get involved in and support?
Yeah, so there's trialfinder.org, and that's a great place to start. Locally here at the University of Miami, they do have a neurologist familiar with Huntington's disease. And what you can do is you can kind of enroll all your information through a program called Enroll HD. And then if there are any studies that come up, they'll pull from that pool of applicants.
Amazing what you've kind of dealt with, and now how you've kind of made it your mission. I guess what you had to grow up with, seeing your grandparent and then your father, you don't want other children to kind of experience that.
Well, and that's the major thing. The only way to stop HD is to, stop that genetic aspect. And luckily, technology is at the point where we're advanced enough where we can make that happen. So through IVF, obviously they can make sure that HD doesn't get passed on. But for the people that don't want to know and, they're at risk and they want children, they can do that. They can create the babies without the bad gene and still not know. So that gives them an opportunity, For some people like me, knowledge is power. Other people, ignorance is really bliss.
What else do people absolutely need to know about specifically the Society of America that you just fell in love with this nonprofit, this organization?
Yeah, well, it brings all of the people with HD together, which is really important.
Kind of like a community and not alone. Yeah.
Right. They do a national convention every year. They provide scholarships, and then they put on educational workshops. So if you just find out about it and you know nothing, you can go to this convention. You can meet people like yourself. You can share ideas, share stories, share tips and tricks. I know when my sister and I went to our first national convention, it changed my life because I met people like me that finally understood what it was like to care for a parent in your, early 20s, because that's rare.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, fascinating stories, certainly you personally, and learning more about the Huntington Disease Society of America. I want our viewers and listeners certainly support. The Huntington Disease Society of America is the premier nonprofit organization and dedicating to improving the lives of everyone affected by Huntington's disease. We are talking with Jamie Land. She is one of the coordinators and been with the organization for many years now, and she's also coordinating a big Team Hope Walk, which will be Saturday, October 5th. So you could find that right on HDSA.org. Outside of donations, they need a lot of volunteers, and when you see, the disease and who it kind of affects and how it trickles down, it really touches your heart, and it's unfortunate. And hopefully that the more funds, the more awareness, and the more shows you guys keep doing will just bring, more contributions, and we could finally put an end to just one of these rare diseases. It's just so disheartening.
Yeah, thanks for your support.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, for us, we maintain being committed to the community, and there's so many nonprofits, there's so many people that are struggling, that a lot of people that want to give back and help support, maybe just not aware, maybe it's out of sight, out of mind. So it's not always the biggest organizations, or maybe you take the word rare out of the disease that needs the kind of attention and support. So it's our honor and our privilege to kind of give you this platform, and we want all our viewers and listeners to certainly support this. Certainly what Jamie has been through personally, and I'm sure she has countless stories of people that you've met that that the Huntington's Disease Society of America has tremendously helped.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're so fortunate to have the community band together and have the resources and, like I said, all the technology and all the talented people working to find a cure.
Unbelievable. And the disease, have you seen kind of a decline? Are we seeing better results now?
Yeah, I think the medications have gotten so much better from when my grandmother first started taking them to, some friends that I have that are currently taking them. So, anyone out there that's able to participate in clinical trials, that's a huge help as well. We need to get the drugs to make people, have a better quality of life, or at least, the best that they're able to with HD.
Yeah, certainly that's another opportunity. So all that information's right on the website. Jamie, we really appreciate your time. I'm going to be making sure I put my walking shoes on and join the Team Hope mission. So Awesome. I'll be walking alongside of you, which will be just a great cause for the community to come together and get a little exercise in, but certainly raise some good money for very needy causes I'm learning about. So, Jamie, we again appreciate your time. Viewers and listeners, please support her. You could go again right to their website, hdsa.org, volunteer, donate, make a contribution, touch a heart, change a life. So, Jamie, we appreciate you educating us and our viewers. Now we have a whole other understanding of just another rare disease that is hitting, the world and so many humans. So Huntington's Disease Society of America is lucky to have you on their team and the mission that you're bringing in, and just the effort and the time that you're bringing in.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No,
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you again, viewers and listeners. Subscribe, share, do all those things that we always appreciate. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Talk Golden to Me video podcast show here at the law offices of Berman and Berman. Till next time, be safe out there.